international news, we now shift our focus to the Israel-Hamas war. Norway took significant steps towards recognizing a Palestinian state by formally handing over documents to the Palestinian Prime Minister, marking a symbolic move that has angered Israel. The recognition is set to come into effect on the 20th of May 2024.
In fact, last week, Ireland and Spain joined Norway in pledging to recognize Palestine as a state, a historic decision made amid growing actions that have led to Israel facing increased isolation, especially after its prolonged conflict with Hamas in Gaza. Let's take a look at this report.
After the announcement of Norway, Spain and Ireland recognizing Palestine as a state, Norway officially handed over its papers to the Palestinian Prime Minister as the final step. The recognition is set to come into effect on May 28, 2024. Amidst the ongoing war, this is a symbolic and significant move by Norway. A move that has considerably irked Israel. The diplomatic move by these three nations was welcomed as a boost of support for Palestine.
Recognition means a lot for us. It's the most important thing that anybody can do for the Palestinian people is to recognize them as independent, worthwhile people in this region that can contribute to its peaceful living for all its children and populations. So it's a great deal for us.
More than two-thirds of the United Nations recognize Palestine as a state. However, the majority of the 27 EU countries have still not considered the idea. The transfer of documents occurred just 48 hours after the United Nations highest court instructed Israel to cease its military operations in southern Gaza city of Rafah.
Well, moving on to other international news, Georgia celebrated its Independence Day with a military parade taking place in central Tbilisi. Cultural events took place across the country. At the Freedom Square, a military exhibition took place that grabbed netizens' attention. In fact, folk concerts and performances of choreography ensembles will also be held in other countries like Spain, Brazil and Italy. Sweden will host Georgian singer Nutsa Buladze, who represented the country in the Eurovision Song Contest 2024. Take a look at our next report.
Georgia celebrated its 106th Independence Day. A military parade rolled through the center Tbilisi to mark the day. Cadets were sworn in to serve the country in front of the President and Prime Minister during the ceremony.
ძალიან მნიშვნელოვანი დღეა ტრადიციისამებრ ოჯახთან ერთად დავდივართ ხოლმე ყოველთვის და დღეს განსაკუთრებულად მნიშვნელოვანია, იმიტომ რომ ცოტა რაღაც კითხვის ნიშნის ქვეშ დგას და მინდა რომ ყველას მიულოცო, ვიყოთ დამოუკიდებლები და გილოცავთ დღევანდელ დღეს.
After the ceremony, Georgians flocked to the military exhibition in Freedom Square to take photos of the military hardware.
26 მაისს არის საქართველოს მონაგარი და თითოეული ქართველი ეს არის ჩვენი დამოუკიდებლობა. ვისთვისაც უამრავი სისხლი, უამრავი სიმედრეები გადატანილი და ეს არის აი ყველაზე მნიშვნელოვანი. თითოეული ადამიანი უნდა იყოს შინაგანად პირველი დამოუკიდებელი. რაც შეეხება იმ უკრება თუ არა დღევანდელ დღეს დამოუკიდებლობა საფრთხე. მე მაინც ვფიქრობ, რომ საქართველოს არის იმ გზა გასაყარზე, როდესაც თავის სახელმწიფოებრიობას პირველად ქმნის ნაბიჯ და რა თქმა უნდა არის უამრავი გამოწვევა, უამრავი პროტესტი.
Tensions are mounting over divisive legislation in Georgia that are viewed as a threat to the country's democratic freedoms and Western aspirations. The legislation requires media, non-governmental organizations, and other non-profits to register as pursuing the interests of a foreign power if they receive more than 20% of their funding from abroad. Many also fear that the bill could derail Georgia's EU aspirations.